All right, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, since you too is Pastor Dow. I just got finished reading an email here. And before I go off into this email right here, I want to ask all of you a question. My question is this. Many of us, we fancy ourselves as scholars, teachers, preachers, ministers, or whatever. I do not understand for the life of me, if I am not your pastor, what spirit is this of you wanting to come and ask me questions, which if you are a man ordained of Yah, you went through the proper steps. It's clearly laid out right in the Torah. It's in the prophets. It's in the Gospels. It's in the letters. It's in there. Why are you asking me questions and I'm not your pastor? To what purpose is it? Because if I'm not your pastor, that means you're not going to submit to them, that, obey them, to have a rule over you. I don't have any rule over you. So the reason why I do not answer many of these questions is because there are questions that's coming from people laced with contention. You're not following me as I follow Christ. So I don't really feel no need in answering your question. You have pastors, or if you fancy yourself to be one, and the majority of the time people do not disclose this. But I know that a lot of people go to our website and use the information on there, reword it, rehash it, and then try to use it for themselves exclusively. People do this often, but I think that I am a very rational thinking man, and I think when I propose questions and things, I'm actually making an honest statement, an honest assessment there. So that's the reason why I'm asking these things, of many of you. But I will go ahead and address this, and the reason why I'm going to address it is because it's contention amongst the body everywhere. I'm not going to give you an extensive answer. I'm going to show you the conditions of the heart, the way Yahweh has always dealt with his people, which still happen to be the children of Israel. And we're just going to go in and try to make this as simple as possible while I try to bring edification, exhortation, and comfort. So I hope that this helps. But I did want to propose that statement from the very beginning. And the reason why I wanted to propose that statement from the very beginning it is because I want to challenge your mental aptitude. I want to challenge the very intent of the reason why that we do things today, because we really truly need to know. But American society has made you think that just because you ask a question or you make a statement that people are entitled to respond to you. I don't know where this arrogant attitude or this crazy abnormal disposition come from, but it's just simply not true. And the majority of the time, you're going to end up running into someone and experiencing a very rude awakening. Just as well as I do that the world, as it is waxing old, it gets worse. And so people are going from bad to worse. You can just see that within the last 10 years. Within the last 10 years, you can see that America and the people and the way that they process thought in their minds, they literally have just gone from bad to worse. So we'll talk about giving. Some people talk about tithes, offerings, and stuff. I've addressed this in the past, but I'm going to try to bring this from a position that people can understand. I believe that you should give. I believe that you should give to a man of Yah if you are being edified, the benefit of edification and exhortation and comfort and peace, the shalom that comes with following the laws and statutes and commandments. I believe that not only should you give, but I believe that giving is a heart condition. Most people are still stuck on whether you should pay tithes or offering, but the tithe don't even belong to you in the first place. So how can you pay something that doesn't even belong to you in the first place? If it wasn't for the Almighty giving you life, breath, and strength, you wouldn't be able to make what you have today. And it's just, it's a difference of perspective and the way that we process thought. But I'm going to show you here in the Torah as well as in the letters of the Apostle Saul, how he addressed this question in itself. As a matter of fact, let's go to, I'm going to do something very odd and very much out of character for me. I always go to the law first, and then I show you what the letters or anybody else has said in the word concerning what the law has already said. So you can see that they're not using eisegesis. And for those of you who are not familiar with hermeneutics, and that terminology I just got finished using, you have eisegesis, you have exegesis. Eisegesis is when you already approach a subject with a preconceived ideal or a notion. You believe that you already have the answer. And what you do is you go into the scriptures, you go into the prophets, the gospels, or the writings. And then you begin to search for something that is going to confirm what you already have in your heart. Now, that is the reason why the Apostle Saul, commonly called Paul, said that many people wrest the scriptures, or they wrestle the scriptures. And when they do this, they do it to their own destruction. And so you have to learn how to develop an ear, and hearing is an art. So when you are hearing someone speak who seems to be somewhat, or, like many people try to present themselves as being scholarly, listen with a discerning ear and try to figure out the perspective that they are coming from. Because while they may sound good, they could be wrong, completely wrong. And it goes back to the age-old adage, if you change the message, you change the people. And no doubt the message has been changed because the people have been changed. There is something to say for intermingling and mingling with other nations who have given you different perspectives, theologies, ideals, and ideologies, and they have literally relaxed what the word says and made it conducive for everybody to be able to have a so-called come to Jesus moment. But that doesn't mean that you are correct in your assessment. And that doesn't mean anything you decide to insert is actual and factual. Deception and being deceived. It's a strong delusion. And most people are preaching delusions, strong delusions. And they're there to make merchandise of you while doing it. Because they're hoping to gain you over to their position inside. Not that they really truly care anything about the truth. They care about supporting their kingdoms or supporting their own doctrines. But the word is rules, laws, and guidelines. And it's really boiled down to who's going to be obedient and who's going to be disobedient. And anytime the word says something that you don't comprehend or like, the first thing we do is we have this uncanny ability to go find someone, and we'll continue to keep going until we find somebody that says what we agree with. But I'm telling you, that's the reason why the ministry is called a Straightway Truth, because we're just going to deal with the word for exactly what it is, what it says, and nothing more, no more, or nothing any less than that. We're just going to stick with the word. I'm not here to support my ideal and my opinion, nor am I here to support your ideal or your opinion. The Most High, when he called me to be a rakah or a pastor, he didn't ask me to represent what I personally think and believe about his word. He told me to represent his truth. And that's it. And because of doing that, you're going to make a lot of enemies, because you're going to go against theologies. You're going to go against traditions. You're going to go against ideologies. But the one thing about it, truth always sets free and a lie binds. And if you say that you have truth, and yet the conditions of your life and of your heart is not changed, then you have to assess where you find yourself at this particular junction in life, because something that you are not doing is definitely not warranting the blessings of the Most High. And don't get me wrong, Dawid spoke to us, and he asked a question. He wondered over and over again, why is it that it seems like that the wicked, they prosper, they live long life, They have no trouble. They go down in the grave in trouble, but then he considered the matter afterwards. You see, afterwards come the judgment. So, there are positions, perspectives, and lifestyles that can deceive you and lead you into the eternal lake of fire. And if you can believe wrong and be sincere in that belief. So let's go ahead and go to the scriptures and answer the question about giving. And let me make this as simple as possible. Okay, so if you turn to Shemot or Exodus, the 35th chapter, and I want you to read it in context. Learn how to read things in context, okay? And we'll start over here at the first verse. All right, Exodus 35, we'll start at the first verse. It says, "And Moshe assembled all the congregation of the children of Israel, and said unto them, These are the words which Yahweh have commanded you to do." And then he goes off into working 6 days and being set apart on the Sabbath. Now read, it says, "Work is done for 6 days, but on the seventh day it shall be set apart to you, a Sabbath of rest to Yahweh. Anyone doing work on it is put to death." All right. So now, when we skip down to the 20th verse, all right, and I'm going to go ahead and let you in on the spirit of giving. The spirit of giving is a heart condition. That's what it is. It's all about the condition of the heart. And so let me do what I said I was going to do earlier. Go over here into the renewed covenant when Paul was writing a letter, the second letter to the church of Corinth. And he said in 2 Corinthians 9:7, he says, look at this. Well, let me start at verse 6. 2 Corinthians 9:6. "But this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall also sparingly shall reap also sparingly." Okay, but this I say, he which soweth sparingly shall reap also sparingly, and he which soweth bountifully shall also reap bountifully. All right. Now look what it says right here. "Every man according as he purposed in his heart, so let him give, not grudgingly or of necessity, for Yah loveth a cheerful giver." Did y'all hear that? That's what it says, that Yah loves. Now, watch this. Where did the Apostle Paul get this from? Did he do away with tithes and offering? I keep telling people over and over again that Paul is far beyond any man in his generation comprehending the law. And he wasn't speaking out of the side of his neck. He knew what the law says, but he's talking to some people who have definitely been immersed in Gentile culture and immorality. And so he's speaking to them way they can understand. But believe me, when he speaks, it's coming straight from the law. How do we know that? Well, Shemot 35 or Exodus 35, starting in verse 20. Let's see that giving always has to do with the condition of one's heart. And it says, "And all the congregation of the children of Israel withdrew from the presence of Moshe, and everyone whose heart lifted him up, and everyone whose spirit moved him came, and they brought the contribution to Yahweh for the work of the tent of appointment and for all its service, and for the set apart garments. And they came, both men and women, all whose heart moved them, and brought earrings, nose jewels, rings, and necklaces, and golden goods, and everyone made a wave offering of gold to Yahweh." So they didn't bring Federal Reserve notes. They took off all these things that were defiling them and caused them to make different things, and they were rebuilding the temple. All right. And that's what ministries do. They rebuild you, which is the temple of Yah. All right. And so the people whose heart was stirred in them, only the ones whose hearts were stirred in it. In other words, they get it, they understand it, they comprehend exactly what's going on. They are the ones who gave. Notice, it's a heart condition. Then he says over in Shemot 36, look at this right here. Starting at verse 3. And they received from Moshe all the contribution which the children of Israel had bought for the work of the service and making the set apart place. But they still brought to him voluntary offerings every morning. Isn't that amazing? So you had the people that were already giving because of the set apart place. All right. And not only that, their heart was so moved and so stirred because they were so interested in the work that they even voluntarily bought more offerings on a daily basis every single morning. So how you contrast that today? The reason why people don't give is because the Spirit is not moving them to give. And that is usually because of a condition of the heart, which I would definitely say is a wicked heart. Because if the Holy Spirit or the Spirit Holy or the Ruach HaKodesh is not moving you to give to the work, then you have problems, very serious problem. When we go over here and see what the Apostle Saul said to the assembly at Corinth, he didn't change the law. He's telling everybody the same thing. Y'all loves a cheerful giver. Well, then you get people to bring up the argument, should we pay tithes or not? And I've already answered that. The bottom line is, if you really truly want to follow a renewed covenant, go read the words of the Messiah yourself. Go read the book of Actions, the Acts of the Apostles, and see what they did. Because what they did showed you how they understood. And when you go read the book of Acts, you're going to find out that believers, real, true believers, gave all. You see, this is the cancer of being immersed in a pagan Roman Gentile society, because you're not going to hear that amongst the people who have no desire, because they have intermingled themselves with the so-called wisdom of this world, and they have learned how to trump this word and do away with faith in you, and you can't grow. And they're not about to tell you to come out of these cities. They're not about to tell you get out of debt. They're not about to tell you to live set apart, because all of this is a sacrifice, which, if you would follow the instructions, the rules and guidelines, you would be able to understand what it means to receive the blessing of the Most High Yah. I hope that I've said something, because remember, the real true believers, they gave all. I hope I've been able to say something to move your heart, to stir your heart the right way. I hope you're indicted in a good fashion, right manner. And if you're here, you're listening to Pastor Dow, and you're being fed, then give. By all means, I'll include the address down below. But you can only give if your heart is moved, if your heart is stirred in you. Are y'all beginning to comprehend this? You begin to comprehend this. Well, I hope that some way, somehow you're edified. But again, I can't go around and try to answer every question everybody has. I usually wait till I receive a question excessively over a period of time before I address it outside of the people, or the people who are outside the assembly of Straightway. And Straightway is more than just its geographical location. Straightway is the brothers and sisters who support and uphold the hands of this man of Yah right here, as we continue to do the work of the ministries of the ministry of Yah, Yahshua, and is backed up by miracle, signs, and wonders. And it's just the truth. It takes the power. It's not the fact of the matter where you say you know Yah, but does Yah know you? And that's the truth. And that's the true Straightway. Shalom, and have a wonderful day.